Why you have to go into jobs that are customer driven in order to make money? Let me explain. You see a lot of people that's complaining about not finding jobs today. And one area that you tend to see a lot of growth in are areas that are able to actually go directly to customers. We talking about when it comes to like finding jobs, Amazon. It might not pay the best, but it's customer driven. It'll never, I'm not going to say it'll never, but right now, the way things are looking today, money is being spent in areas that are customer driven, customer based. You're selling stuff. Amazon is a very profitable area, especially for people making money and whatnot. The pay might not be the best, but that's a start. You look at retail. Retail, when it comes to certain type of stores, is customer based. Customer based, you're selling. But every company is not prospering that much depending on what they're selling. So you have to kind of look at that. When you look at the market, when it comes to cosmetics, when it comes to hair, especially for women, that area tends to do very well because it sells a lot. It's customer based. Another area that you might not resonate with customer base, but it really is customer base, is the medical field. You see a lot of people in the medical field, especially women. Women, you see men too, but that is a very big area that's almost the same as like retail. Let me explain. Reason why that's customer based, think about it like this. How many people, when you go to urgent care, that you see there? Now, you might not look at it as they're looking to buy something, but they are. They're actually there to see the doctor, which is a cost itself as soon as they walk through the door. As soon as they walk in, their medical insurance, they're being charged, got copay. Medical field is a booming area, and it's dealing with multiple people on hand. Customer base. And the thing is about why that's customer base is because you might not want to go there and shop, but you're going there to get cured. And it's not different from a store or buying. Because one thing about the medical field, it's such a booming area. That's why they're trying to stabilize it on price, and you can't. That's why everybody price is different, which is crazy in itself. So the medical field is also a booming area where you see a lot of people make a lot of money. And I know the pandemic have shown that when they had traveling nurses making high six figures. I seen one nurse one time, she made so much money to the point she went into her own and set up her own medical staff of traveling. And I don't know how it's going now. You know, that was a time itself, but still. And I also have a relative that traveled not only a good 2 weeks ago. She ended up traveling and leaving one state, going to another state to make extra income and made out. But like I said, medical field is definitely a booming area too. Trucking, depending, I'm in trucking. It's an area that's very profitable because we have to move freight. But when you are competing, now this is the bad part. When it comes to certain things that's dealing with direct customer base, when you're dealing with stop and go trucking, whereas though I call it PD, when you're actually delivering to stores, it's very profitable because this is something that's a daily thing. You're going stop and go. You're going to multiple different companies that need their products. Self-explanatory. That's the area I'm in. Very profitable. But where a lot of people end up hurting at is companies that are putting out products that's going to other companies that's putting out products, going to stores. Normally, that's the area where you have to be over the road. And it might not be that profitable to most because it's limited through production of a certain type of company that only have contracts that's putting out work that way. So if you self-employed, you might end up suffering in that area. all because you don't have the productivity to be able to put out that type of business to certain companies like that, because you're only dealing with 1 or 2 or 3 trucks. Whereas though you competing with other companies that got thousands of trucks that can go across different state lines, and they can move and push freight off to other companies. So that's the downfall in the trucking. But you kind of understand what I'm talking about when it comes profitable when you're with a company that has a contract that can go from one store to another store. Now, when we talk about like government, this is where you see a lot of cuts happening out here, because it's not strictly for customer base. It's dealing with agriculture, which is dealing with farming, and you kind of know how the farming thing works. Some of you don't understand how it works. I know a little bit about it, but I also know because I have family that used to work in the agriculture, and that's a lot of restrictions, which means certain areas you can grow. And you also know with farming, it doesn't produce a bunch of employees. It's a lot of low labor. So even though you might look at it as customer base, is really not. Only a small tier, because you're getting products, which are bananas, flowers, and all types of things. But that's happening there, which are low pay. And that's not something that most people, Americans, can do or tend to do, because it's hard labor but very low pay, and you're not dealing with customers. So this is an area that you're not going to see a lot of people trying to go into, because that's not an application you looking up online to fill out for, But let's think about certain areas, like when you look at companies like Starbucks, I don't know how their pay is, but Starbucks seem to have they seen the progress in the area, whereas though they have a lot of customers that come there. But when it comes to how you kind of look at your wages, I don't quite know how it fares with the fair market use of being able to try to obtain a good lifestyle. I can't quite see an area like that, whereas though you're going to be able to profit a lot of money, because you got to remember, certain areas like that are like similar to like McDonald's, even though the pay is going to be higher at Starbucks. But when you look at Starbucks, it normally have a lot of people there that are of age, in their 20s, some in their 30s, But when you look at McDonald's, it's very low, even though it's customer, but it's very low. And that's not an area that you would probably want to go in, because the pay is not going to be comparable to a wage, whereas though you're able to get an apartment or a home or whatnot. It's normally very low. So it's kind of hard for people today to kind of see themselves in certain areas of the world being able to progress if it's not something that's customer based, because a lot of people are cutting back, and it's not profitable because a lot of people are taking a lot of losses. And I understand that it's hurtful, because a lot of people are displaced when they looking at and they putting a bunch of applications and looking for jobs. This is probably why you're starting to see a lot of women even going into the fields of trucking and carrier operations, because it's pushing out products that are customer based. Whereas though I delivered to a place, and they had it was a lady that was in the truck, and she was delivering, it was a bunch of hair products. Everything is so implemented around customer care, whereas though these are areas that are pushing so much revenue. That's where you're seeing a lot of growth, because the market that's in the area of AI or anything that's dealing with just something that's like engineering, anything that's dealing with that type of tier of jobs, they're letting go a lot of people. Because I was in the field of programming, and I did networking, and that's the field I was in before I got into trucking. And I noticed that the pay went down. It started going down tremendously. Like I remember at a time, the pay, a lot of times you were seeing around like the upper 90s, and then you was getting up in the 6 figures and 150. But what's sad is you start seeing it go down a lot, because I don't know why. It's just, I guess it started getting, too many people started going into that field. And then you started seeing that field start going down because you had programs that could kind of help you when you build a networking program, especially in programming. When I was building programs, it was fun, but it also was strenuous because you got to use a lot of muscle memory and a lot of brain cells, especially when you making mistakes and you trying to find where you made your mistakes at. But now we got programs that can kind of find your mistakes. So when you look at that, you don't have to have a whole team of people. And I started peeping that because I remember I worked for this company, believe it was CTDI. And I remember when they had a department that I was trying to get into. And what was crazy is, I believe it was it was like four people, four guys. And think about that, in a building. Not to say, I don't know what other jobs they were doing in the company. I don't know if they was helping in other buildings, but I remember it was four just in that building. That was a pretty big building. And when you think about that, you look at places like Google. Google have an entourage of teams. But if you notice, Google also got rid of a lot of people, which were a bunch of programmers and networking. And when you look at that, you see that we have so many things that are taking over on these jobs because you don't have to pay that much manpower just to be able to obtain what you need to do in the background. So you limit that by getting rid of people because it's not really customer based. You're basically have a system that's up and running, which we all know these systems of YouTube and Google and whatnot. But if they're running good, all you need is maintenance. And that's what they're doing in the background, is maintenance. So I think from this point on going forward, you're going to have to do your research and find out what areas that you want to go into that are really customer based, that can drive up your profitability of you making money, or even if you're starting up a company, you have to be able to sell to consumers in order to prosper out here right now. So do your due diligence and do your research, and whatever you tend to do your thing. All right.